Okay, now we're good. Good to go.
Sweet.
All right, welcome to episode 4 of Inside MNU Athletics podcast. I am Sports Information Director Chad Jenkins, joined alongside women's soccer head coach Bryce McClanahan. Thanks for coming, Bryce.
Yeah, Chad, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, this is our 4th podcast. We've finally got a background behind the guest. So can you see that?
Yeah.
Slip it to him. Yeah, it looks
looking good.
Instead of a gray background. So let's start with COVID. How has your team been dealing with COVID? Have you had any cases? How's that been for the first couple weeks? You're 2 games in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we got going beginning of August. Thankfully, no COVID in our team since then. I think we kind of had a little bit of a scare at first, but got tested. Turns out it wasn't COVID, so fantastic. Able to continue to train, and right now we're 2 games in. So
any quarantines or anything, close contacts or anything like that?
No quarantines right now. Obviously, we have some international girls that came in from Spain,
right.
So they had to do the whole 14-day quarantine kind of thing, and that sucked for them. I kind of saw them kind of throughout it. But yeah, credit to them. It looks like they took care of business when they were back home, and then they had each other during the quarantine here. So
it's great because other teams have had, in all different sports from all over the conference, had to cancel games and postpone games, and we haven't had anything. So our people, our sports med and our athletes have been on it and
doing something right,
and it is hard to be on it. So let's also start with you. How did you come to MNU? He was a 2-time all-conference midfielder for the men's team in, 15 and 16?
That's right, yeah.
And so how did you get here, and talk about your journey to MNU in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So, born and raised Overland Park, Kansas. I lived 15 minutes away from MNU. Had no idea it existed until I think the year before I transferred. So I actually played 2 years at community college, Johnson County Community College down the road, and it was a spring scrimmage, I believe, or maybe it was a fall scrimmage that we had played, Kevin's team, MNU, and we got smashed. I think it was like 8-1.
Okay.
And see all these guys from around the world, and just their playing style was like, wow, this is right down the street, right from where I grew up. So I was like very interested to know more. My assistant coach at Johnson County, Omar Seek, who played
I remember him,
for Kevin, he arranged a visit for me. So got on campus, trained with the guys, really enjoyed it, and it seemed like it was going to be a great fit. So that's how I got started at MNU.
And then as a player, what was your biggest influence in your game growing up? Another player who influenced either your style or what inspired you to be a soccer player? Talk about your soccer journey as a player.
My background. Yeah, so soccer's the only sport I've ever played. I think the very first sport I played was t-ball.
Yeah.
I guess my parents were late on the sign-up, so I got to play a season of that. But besides that, all the way through high school, college, it was only soccer. But I'm the oldest of 4, so I have 2 younger brothers who played for Kevin here at MNU, and then a younger sister. But yeah, soccer was kind of the only thing that we wanted to do and take seriously. So it was my dad and my uncle who played growing up. They ended up coaching me actually from about 6th grade to high school. And then, from there, I just enjoyed the sport. Very much enjoyed other sports, but soccer was my love. So
right.
Yeah.
And who's your Premier League team or your Champions League team or whatever?
Yeah, I'm a big Manchester United fan.
Okay, so you fit right in around here. That's
Kevin,
I know
that's Kevin's team.
Nosco, so. I think, too, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Spot on.
So
but, it's kind of rough right now. Manchester United not doing well.
Really?
As of late, yeah. Yeah, they had probably the best coach of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. Then he retired, and now it's just kind of trying to get things back going in the right direction again. So.
All right, so how did you get into coaching? Did you know that you were going to do that at some point, or did you just fall into it?
No.
How did that start?
So, some people know exactly what they want to do from, I don't know, however old. I had no idea what I wanted to do,
right.
Even in college. Even 2 years at Johnson County Community College. And then, coming here, I remember reading it. My assistant coach, he majored in sports management and minored in coaching. I was like, dang, you can do that? That
right.
sounds pretty cool. So when I got to MNU, I took those classes. And then, about a year into that, I started volunteer coaching for Toca City, which Alec Lemon helped kind of start that. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then, to be honest, it was him kind of pouring into me. I think that we met pretty consistently for a year, and he saw a lot of potential in me, and so very thankful for him. But apart from that, like I said, my dad and my uncle coached me, and so I think it was just cool to see the impact they had for my friends, and the way my friends talked about my dad and my uncle, and I think I wanted the same thing for sure.
What is your dad and uncle's background with soccer? Did they just play growing up, or did they play in college?
Yeah,
what's their deal?
I was the first in my family to go to college. My dad and my uncle, both obviously in high school, they played. My uncle played at a high level. Udinese was the club team that he played for. Went to Shy Mission West, but didn't play beyond that. And then my dad, he just loved the game. I think he kind of played here and there. He was more of a skateboarder, actually. And from what I hear, he could have gone kind of professional with that, and he gets on the skateboard sometimes and kind of shows us some tricks.
There's plenty of athleticism involved with that, for sure. No doubt about it.
So it's pretty cool.
Who do you pull from as a coach? Your coaching style and philosophy, who do you look to for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I've probably a good handful of different people I go to. I think one I mentioned was Alec Lemon.
Right.
He's somebody that poured into me.
He played at MNU for, I think, 4 years.
Yeah,
4
he
years.
did. I think,
I
very
saw,
good player, scored a lot of goals.
I saw his career. Him and John, his brother, were a dynamic duo from the late aughts, 08, 09 type, that kind of play. So go ahead.
So Alec, he just kind of poured into me, kind of more like the three-dimensional stuff of being a coach. So not just the tactics, but more kind of like the heart, soul, and using sports as a platform to impact people. So very thankful for him. And then had another mentor who actually he was a college baseball coach. Now he's a firefighter for the past 15 years. His name was Rob Hull. But he's somebody that was really big in my faith. But he's somebody that's kind of leveraged his platform to go and impact men for a greater purpose. And so he's somebody I go to. And then kind of for the X's and O's, I would say Kevin Wardlaw, playing in his system for 2 years was probably the most fun soccer I've ever had. I knew what my role was, and I think we had other guys who knew what they were really good at, and I think there was just this balance in the team. So obviously still continue to go into his office. I think I'm annoying him a little bit, but I will continue to do that because he's been
great
here for
resource
a long time.
Just down the hall for sure.
Yeah.
Were you on the team that finished runner-up, national runner-up in 15?
That's right, yeah. 15,
that was your first year?
That was my junior year. It's back when I had the long hair.
Can you talk about – I was watching that game online because we weren't expected to go deep into that tournament. And so I was at nationals with volleyball that year. So I was keeping track of the soccer team only online. And you guys just kind of – that was the best I'd seen MNU play. It was just a dominant victory in the first round, and then maybe was there a shootout somewhere?
So we never went to shootouts that year. But, yeah, you're spot on. That right around the tournament, right after the tournament, and we hit the opening round game, and we were just playing our best soccer. So
then you go to the semifinals, and you smoke, like you scored 4 goals. 4-2 over Lindenwood Belleville, I think. Mm-hmm. And then the final against, they say Rio Grande. I say Rio because I'm a sane person, but they call themselves Rio Grande. And that's an absolute powerhouse soccer team, right?
Yeah.
And so that game was scoreless into the first or second overtime.
I believe it was the first overtime.
And so go through that game. What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was awesome being in the national championship game. In your head, you kind of envision a bunch of fans being there, but maybe there was 5. So that's funny. But, yeah, great game of soccer. I think it was back and forth. Both teams had their chances. I know that we definitely had some. They had some. And then come to the end of the game in overtime, this kid, he ropes a shot from 40 yards out, upper 90. Like, oh, wow, that's how we lose.
Right.
So I think that we did everything in our power and our control to go and take care of business on the day. Well done to him for putting the ball in the back of the net.
It was one of the most amazing shots you'll ever see. Yep. And did you immediately weep? Were you in shock? What was your reaction to that?
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone just stood there for a while and was like, oh my gosh, it's over, and then the seniors are like, oh my gosh, it's over, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we were playing our best soccer at that point. And for me, I think I played well. That's probably one of my best years of soccer from start to finish. And so at the very end, even when the ball hit the back of the net, I didn't drop to the ground and immediately start crying. I know, people have different reactions, but for me, I was just like, dang, that's how we're going to go. I guess that's how it's going to happen. But for me, I think I left it all out there. Very thankful for the coaches that I had. Very thankful for the teammates that I had and the experience. We spent a week in Florida, with some of my best buddies. So just very thankful for the opportunity.
That was quite a run, and that was awesome. That was my first opportunity as a sports information director to see a national championship game. The next year, the women's basketball team won it.
That's right.
But it's always been my only goal in this profession. I just give me one national championship to cover. That would be great. And your team was the first to you could taste it. Like, I think a shootout might be coming. There. And even though they're so powerful and we're playing so well, it feels like, shootout, anybody can win those. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
So your biggest influence as a coach, you've gone through that and talked about a little bit about your faith. Talk about your faith background, coaching here and coaching these women and stuff.
Yeah. So, born and raised, 4 kids, both parents married. Awesome marriage. My dad and my mom didn't go to college, but I would say one of the best things that my dad's ever done is show me the way to love your wife. And so every day he'd come home. He's somebody who works with his hands, and so he's got long days, comes home, is probably very tired, but he never shows it. He comes through the front door, and
what does he do?
First thing he does is just go to see my wife, give her a kiss. My wife.
Your mom.
Hello. Is my mom. And then from there, he goes to kind of do his own thing, and then right back to us. But the biggest thing is he always is very positive, and has a lot of energy, even after a long day. So.
And what does he do for a living?
Yeah, so right now he works, basically just with his hands. It's him and another guy kind of doing painting, doing basically odd-end jobs.
Okay.
He's basically done that for, his whole life. He's doing well right now.
So your family, your mom, how did they meet? How did they find each other? What's their story? Do you know that?
So they're high school sweethearts. And
from around here?
They are. They went to Cheyenne Mission North High School.
Okay.
They met, I believe, the freshman year of high school, started dating, and I guess my grandpa hated my dad at the time, and so he actually moved her to Cheyenne Mission West High School, but they still continued to see each other and date, and then got married, I think, right after they graduated, and then I came right after that, so they were like 20 or so when they had me, so very young parents, fortunate for that. So.
That's great. What is your family situation? How did you meet your wife?
So my family situation, again, I went to Cheyenne Mission East High School. My wife actually played soccer at Cheyenne Mission East, and so our friend groups intertwined, and I think it was our junior year that we really started talking. Thankful that soccer brought me a lot of good friends, but most importantly brought me a wife.
Right.
So she's awesome. She understands the game, and I think that she was a pretty good player as well. So it's fun having her come out to the college girls games, and she actually understands things. Which is nice that she follows along. But yeah, you mentioned earlier kind of more about the faith, so I kind of got started in that.
That's right.
My grandpa was probably my biggest influence. He's probably the strongest Christian man I know. But we actually lived with him, so my parents and my grandpa. Is that
your mom's dad or dad's dad?
My mom's dad.
Okay.
Yep. So very strong in his faith. My room was down the hall, and then there were the stairs, and then his room was just right across from the stairs. And so I'd wake up in the middle, on maybe like a Saturday morning, walk down the stairs, and I'd hear my grandpa praying. I'm like, oh wow, what is he doing? Then I'd hear him reading, scripture and things like that. And then he'd go, if it's a Sunday, over to church. And then maybe in the middle of the week would go on Wednesday to go sing in the choir or whatever. He'd always ask my brothers and I if we wanted to go to church. And most of the time it was a no
Right.
from us because, we wanted to play soccer, or we had our buddies, or, whatever. Very thankful that he always loved us enough to ask. And at the same time, I think there are a few times when we said yes just out of respect for him. But fast forward to when I was about 8th or 9th grade, I had a coach in my life who actually kind of shared the gospel with me. It was after a training session. He said, hey Bryce, what does Christianity mean? What does it look like? Who is Jesus? And I said, well, my family says we're Christian, so I guess there's that. But I had no idea what a Christian really was, what that looked like, and he kind of helped outline that. So he gave me my first Bible, and from there, I didn't really kind of make my faith my own until fast forward to MNU. MNU, I think, was a fantastic place academically, athletically, but most importantly, spiritually. So that year was when I decided to give my life to Christ. So I got baptized that same night. Decided to, not decided on the moment, but planned to ask my then fiance, our girlfriend, to marry me. So that was really cool and very special.
It's a decent day that you had there.
Yeah. So it meant a lot that it was prioritized that way, faith, taking
Right.
care of that. And then the next piece is obviously asking her to marry me.
So what was that night like for you? That decision to become a Christian, or to give your life to Christ, to pray the prayer basically, and then to get baptized. Who was there with you? Was there a specific talk from chapel, or a friend, or what was the impetus there?
Yeah, so a few things. On that night that I got baptized, my brother Andrew actually decided to get baptized as well. So he's somebody that I'm probably closest to, my best friend since we were little, and still continue to be. But that person that I think, other than my grandpa, that showed me what a Christian man looks like is that mentor, Rob Hull, who was a baseball coach. We met kind of weekly, and I just came to him with a bunch of questions. What does it mean, to lose your life in Christ? What does it mean, all of this stuff? Who is Jesus as Lord? And what does it mean for him to be your Savior? And I think probably the biggest thing is I was met with a relationship. It wasn't like rules or things like that. It was just, hey, we would meet, once a week.
Right.
And I think that's very powerful, that kind of positive influence in your life. So.
That's great. Do you have interests outside of soccer? And family, of course, but
yeah, I think obviously spending time, like you
Right.
said, with family. But for me, I think my family, we always hung out with a ball. So whether it was a soccer ball, we always grew up in the backyard playing football, maybe basketball. My sister played volleyball. So for me, I think the biggest way that we expressed kind of our love for each other was with the ball. It wasn't necessarily having these conversations or, whatever, but it was having a ball. So other than, doing that as a family, I would say I enjoy working out, try and stay fit, maybe going for runs.
Samesies, totally samesies. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, going for the long distance runs for sure. Apart from that, I enjoy just being outside. So this summer we went to Colorado and spent some time hiking. So just love the outdoors. And, my dad was big into fishing. So something I haven't touched lately, but I think that's absolutely a time just to kind of rest, relax,
Sure.
and be with the people that you're there with. So,
All right. Your first year as an assistant coach on the women's team was 2018?
So first year, I believe 2018. Yeah. So I graduated in 17, and then for 2 years was a graduate assistant coach. Yep.
So that 2018 women's soccer team is one of the big crushing disappointments in my career. I don't know what it was that I was so excited about that team, and it was probably the best women's team that I've seen still.
Oh, yeah.
It's right up there.
Yeah. Strong team.
And we needed to either beat Culver or tie Culver to win the conference for the first time. and automatically qualify for nationals for just the second time. And I drove to Culver Stockton, which is 4 hours or so.
Wow, I do remember you made the drive.
I hadn't been there. I took my son. I'm like, hey, come with Daddy. And I brought all sorts of gear to record this moment because there was no way we weren't going to at least tie with Culver Stockton. They weren't very good.
Yeah.
We were awesome. We'd beaten Central Methodist and Benedictine and we had the conference in our grasp. And I get there just as the game starts. Before I find my seat, they've scored a goal. It's 1-0.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still looking for my seat. It's 2-0, 3-0. And it was just over like that. As I sat down, I'm like, we're probably not going to come back. So, but, I stayed there the whole time. I had all this camera gear to film the moment. I had a GoPro with a head strap. I was going to sneak down to the field and give it to somebody who could run out on the field and get the celebration. It was going to be awesome. What was it like that night for the team? Did they have the same anticipation and disappointment? Obviously they're disappointed, but was it like, we're going to take this and what's going to happen?
It was rough. That day. To your point, I think we started the season 11-0-1, something like that. So very strong team. I would say from a talent perspective, definitely the strongest team that I've seen.
All three levels.
All four individually.
Levels.
Goalkeeper all the way through center mid, forward, wingers. So very strong team. We had big wins. Benedictine at home, 1-0. CMU, I believe, in overtime.
On the road,
yeah. So very big wins, and then to lose the way that we did, 3-0. Nobody saw it coming, and I think the one thing that there was Lan got injured. So her ACL.
Castaneda.
The game before.
She was your center mid, and
she was a stud.
Had a great year. All-American that year.
Engine. So she got injured the game before against Baker, and we ended up winning that game 4-0, playing fantastic second half despite losing her. So figured, we can just continue to do what we're doing even though we lose a strong player. But I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe emotions were kind of here or there, and maybe the pressure of winning a conference championship was a little bit too heavy. But the start of that game, inside 15 minutes, we were down 3-0.
It was amazing.
And it was nothing that they did tactically. I think it was just their first three shots.
And they were all long, deep shots.
It was an unusual feeling. And so, it's tough. You're kind of shell-shocked at that point. But again, you kind of have to move on, have a short memory. So we tried that, but I think really the rest of the game we couldn't really shake that start. So
and
was tough.
We missed a PK early in the second half.
I think so.
Yeah,
we even missed a PK.
If you score that PK, then you start to maybe feel it. But then once that was saved, it was like, this isn't going to happen. It's not going to. It's just not working out tonight.
Very rough night. I remember players are disappointed, coaching staff very disappointed.
SID driving home disappointed.
Yeah, right. Even brings his son. It's crazy.
Micah was disappointed. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So compare that to this year's team. You guys have some holdovers from that team, so still very strong. You're 1-1. Got beaten the first game by Oklahoma Wesleyan.
Yep.
And then took it to Missouri Valley pretty
4-2,
well. So what do you guys got this year? Talk about this team.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a team that has a lot of experience. So that year, that class was still very young. I was, the Elvia, Savannah, Rachel, that class. And now this year they're seniors, and I think there's 10 seniors, and so they have a lot of experience. They've won big games. They've lost big games. And I think that's positive. So now, for instance, we go to Central Methodist on Wednesday.
Right.
And I feel very confident going into the game. We know what that's like. We want to go and win a conference championship, and so we've got to go and get a result. So, obviously, starting the season 1-1. We lost to Oklahoma Wesleyan. Very strong team.
They were great.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Top 25 team last year. We got the result on the road 2-1. That was big. They returned the favor this year. But their number 9 was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now we move forward. Moval was 4-2. And very much like the way that we played in the second half.
Right.
Things are clicking all cylinders. And so hopefully we can continue that momentum into Wednesday.
So what do you say when you try to get people to come to MNU? You've got people from all over the world. Different cultures, different backgrounds. When you are recruiting somebody, what do you say is your coaching philosophy, and how do you get people? What's your recruiting pitch as well?
Sure. Yeah, I think it depends on the kid. Understanding kind of where their heart's at. What's going to get them the best experience possible. I know if I put myself in that position as a student athlete, I was looking for an MNU. It's a place I had always dreamed of because of the way that we played. I know Kevin talks about it, possession style, right. Which is very unique. And for me, that's what I wanted. And then the other piece is I did want to grow in my faith, a place where they do prioritize that. And so for me, trying to figure out what does that look like, we have girls who have no idea, what a church looks like, right. And then they come on campus here at MNU. And then we also have girls, soccer backgrounds that are very strong. So I think there's a combination of both. And for me, I think in the best teams, there's always balance. So in regards to a recruiting pitch, I think what we tell the girls is we're very professional in the way that we go about things. Attention to detail, pursuing being the best version of ourselves. So that way we can go and win conference and national championships. And then the other piece to that, particularly coaching women, I want to tell you that we're relational. We care about you more as a person than we do as a player, but we know if we take care of the person, the player is just going to go and thrive. So that's kind of what we tell these ladies.
Who are your favorite soccer coaches? Professionally, college, whatever. Who do you say, I love that guy? You talked about MNU.
Oh, yeah. Probably the all-time best coach, Sir Alex Ferguson, was fantastic, but for me, currently I'm looking at, Pep Guardiola. He's a Manchester City coach. He used to be FC Barcelona coach. And just the way that he, is so emotional and invested, I think allows me to try and take steps forward. I'm more of a reserved guy, more right. quiet guy, but I love the intensity in which he coaches with. But then also he does X and O's is probably the best that I've seen in the professional game. So him for sure. And then kind of locally, Sporting KC plays possession style soccer. Peter Vermes, he's been here for a while and has a long track record of winning games. Yep. So it's good to see as well.
How about non-soccer coaches? Do you look at any other sports and say, boy, that guy's got something that I'd like to pull from?
Yeah. Enjoy watching other sports and watching the sideline. Coach in the past that I've looked up to and read a bunch of books on is John Wooden.
Absolutely.
John Wooden for me, I think he's kind of the, top of the cream of the crop, right?
Absolutely.
So I think just his values and just his demeanor, I think, is very similar to the way that I want to be as a coach. So he's somebody. I don't know if there's anybody else that really comes to mind.
If you want to just be inspired for a day, just look up John Wooden quotes, and he's just full of great stuff and wisdom and everything. It's universally beloved. We talked a little bit about how you've got players from all over the world, different cultures and backgrounds. Today's climate in this country is so divided. I've asked each coach this and how they deal with it. All the protests and Black Lives Matter and the social division that we've got right now. What is that like on your team? Do you have to deal with any of that kind of thing personally or with the team? And how are you guys managing the current social climate?
Yeah, it's a great question. So obviously, coming out of COVID, it seems like everything that could go wrong is going wrong.
Yes.
But at the same time, I guess we can choose to see it as an opportunity. And the biggest thing that we always talk about, even last year starting, was creating a culture, one, where everybody was met with respect. And then the second piece is openness. If you come here disrespecting yourself or other people and you come thinking you know everything, then this isn't the place for you. So I think that's our starting place. But then also we do have a very diverse team, probably the most diverse that it's been on the women's side, and absolutely love that. But yeah, we have a bunch of girls, whether international, whether West Coast. We have African American girls, Hispanic girls, white girls, everything. So I think it's something where we have absolutely decided to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
We don't want to shy away from it. And so even 2 weeks ago, we met in a classroom and we talked on this topic. And so right now it's one of those things where it's not hey, we talked about it and we go and we move on.
Right.
This is something that we want to continue to talk about and even address, having these hard conversations, whether it's conflict in our team or if it's something on campus or just straight in the community. So
that's great. So what have they been saying? What's the general attitude about, I don't know how to put it, about how to come together, I guess, because in sports we all have the same. You can look at your soccer team, you've got the same goal. I don't care where you're from, we can have the same goal. But outside of soccer, there might be division here and division there. So is it just we're a team and I don't care what color you are and what culture you come from? Is that basically the team attitude? Is that how it
Yeah. So, for us, we talked about it a lot last year, but it's not about you. And so I think a lot of times we can have this misinterpretation that it is about me and I need to get this or that. But I think when you come with this mentality to serve, you say, hey, I'm going to go take care of the person on my right and the person on my left. And so the biggest thing is that we move together collectively. And that doesn't mean that we all share the same set of beliefs, but it absolutely means, hey, I hear you, and we're going to go and choose to move forward the best that we can together. So, for instances, you look at the professional game, and before the game, the national anthem, or in
Right.
EPL games, or taking a knee to support Black Lives Matter, and these different things. So there doesn't seem to be a right way or a wrong way. Who knows?
Right.
But the thing is our captains did something cool prior to Missouri Valley game. Is they talked to our team and decided for the national anthem we're gonna go and hold hands. We're gonna
I saw that. I was
support,
going to mention that.
the flag. We're gonna face the flag, so we'll respect the country. But at the same time, we're gonna be together in unity. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea sometimes how those moments are going to go, whether 5 people drop to a knee, whether the whole stadium drops to a knee, who knows?
Right.
But yeah.
No, that's great. I think sports can lead the way in all of this because sports seems to be the place where everybody's united towards a certain goal, and that needs to be the purpose of this country, is to be united towards the same goal, and that's not what it is right now. So it's great that we can, and you as a leader can raise young women up to be leaders and show the way, and I think our coaches are doing a great job of that.
Absolutely.
And then you're the 4th podcast, and it's pretty much been the same thing as trying to find that common goal. Well, that's all I have. Thanks for joining us. Episode 4, Bryce McClanahan, Chad Jenkins.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Appreciate it. Thank you.